Hey everybody, welcome back to another top 10 favorite films from each letter. Today is the letter K. Luckily, I didn't struggle with this one as much as I did with the letter J. So first up is John G. Avildsen's The Karate Kid. And much like he did with the first Rocky film, it's kind of a semi-similar story about a kid who has his mentor who's trying to build himself up for the big tournament and everything. Obviously, the nice thing about The Karate Kid is that it involves the moving to a new place and trying to adapt and everything. And then you have that amazing sort of mentor-student dynamic. I mean, I don't need to explain the film. I'm sure all of you have seen it, but definitely The Karate Kid. Such a great film. In fact, I actually have the 4K release, and I have not watched it yet. I need to change that. Next up is Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill, and I am sort of thinking as both Volume 1 and Volume 2 as one film, as I'm sure most of you know, that it actually was supposed to be one film, but because it was so long, they decided to divide it up into two films. For the sake of the list, I'm considering Volume 1 and Volume 2 as just one film. And as I've mentioned before, I'm a huge Tarantino fan, so there's a good chance most of his films are going to appear on all these letters. And it's one that also kind of surprised me in the fact that, like, has so much going for it, even though on the surface it's kind of sort of simple revenge story. For me, what makes Tarantino so special is that it becomes something so much more deeper than that, you know, so multi-layered. So yeah, Kill Bill is on this list without a doubt. Next up is John Woo's The Killer, one of my favorite films. I love this film so much, and it really bothers me that we've never gotten a proper video release of this film. I mean, this is one that I still remember the first time I saw it, I was like completely blown away, and it's one that has just entertained me and inspired me and everything over the years. And all we've ever gotten are these flawed releases on video. I think the closest thing that may have come to getting like a proper release, I want to say it was probably the Criterion Laserdisc, which they did release on DVD as well. But that one was flawed because all they could get was a release print to do their transfer. They couldn't even get access to any of the proper elements or that. So even then it was still semi-flawed. So hopefully one day we get a proper release of The Killer, because the movie is amazing. I mean, even if you can get a chance to see it, even in a not so perfect form, I highly recommend it. Next up is Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I think one that a lot of you also had on your list, and it's just such a fun movie. It's such an intentional B movie. You know, it's so over the top and insane with its premise. Just has a ball kind of running with it. Just one of those ones that, you know, every time you watch it, it's such a blast, especially if you can watch it with people. Next up is Killer Fish. That's right, the film with Lee Majors and Karen Black. It may surprise some of you. Some of you may not have even heard of the film. It's about these jewel thieves who are hiding out, and then they all get on this transport boat over this lake that's filled with piranha. And then the boat starts to sink. Got all the piranha around them, so they're trying to survive. And yeah, it's a piranha movie mixed with jewel thieves, and it's just a crazy movie. But it's one that I saw as a kid, and I would go in the swimming pool and pretend I was being eaten by piranhas. So I'd start, like, you know, kind of messing with the water, you know, and make the little sound they make in the movie. The little definitely a film that has a lot of meaning for me. Next one is Kindergarten Cop with Arnold Schwarzenegger and directed by the great Ivan Reitman. And I think that's actually why it works. Technically, it's a film that, from a premise standpoint, like, it's kind of cute and everything, but you wouldn't really expect much from it beyond that. But I think having someone like Ivan Reitman at the helm really made it something much more than just a funny premise. Such an endearing film. So yeah, Kindergarten Cop. Next one is a no-brainer, and that is the classic King Kong. I mean, in my opinion, one of the most amazing films ever made. As I mentioned, I think during Thanksgiving time, I watch it every Thanksgiving because when I was a kid, on Thanksgiving Day, they used to show on TV King Kong. And so as I grew up, I just sort of brought that tradition with me. So every Thanksgiving, I usually end my Thanksgiving by watching King Kong. It's literally just mind-blowing, that film. It's almost a film that they couldn't even make that way today. Like, once it really starts, like once they get to the island, it's just non-stop to the end. Oh, such an amazing film. Next up is Martin Scorsese's King of Comedy, a very underappreciated Scorsese film. Sometimes it's forgotten. And the funny thing about King of Comedy is that it's a dark comedy, and so at the time, I don't think people even knew what to make of it. But it's definitely one that sort of found an audience over the years. And what a name for a character, Rupert Pupkin. I mean, The name alone, I mean, wow. Next one is Kingdom of the Spiders. Yes, the one with William Shatner. I love that movie. Again, it's another one I watched as a kid, which is ironic because spiders legitimately freak me out, but I also at the same time have a weird fascination with them. I think because they do scare me, which is weird because it's not very manly of me to say that. You know, if you see a bug, you know, and stuff, you just go up and you squash it or something. And a spider, I'm like, ugh. So it's kind of funny that a movie, I actually love spider movies. And I think because they do kind of get to me. The human psyche, I mean, who the hell knows? And then finally on the list is George Romero's Knightriders. One of his few non-horror films, but one that I think still has a lot of the elements of what do make his other films so special. And it's definitely one that for me really has his signature on it all throughout. And it's really funny and really exciting and really touching. I mean, even by the end of the film, I'm not going to give anything away, but Donald Rubinstein, who did the music and has a very small part in the film, he sings a song during a key moment at the end of the movie, and every time I hear that song, even if I'm listening to the soundtrack and that song comes on, emotions. So if you've never seen Knightriders, I would definitely recommend at least giving it a try. So that's it. Those are my 10 for the letter K. Had a little bit more luck than I did with letter J. Next up will obviously be the letter L, which luckily right now I have so many movies, I'm just trying to actually get it down to 10, so that's a better place to be. So definitely let me know your picks for the letter K. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.